Stay over here because you can see it best. You can see general. In Ford's Theater, this is the booth where Lincoln was assassinated. What is going on, guys? Today we've got a good one. This is going to be a very special one indeed. Certainly very cool. My family has been planning this trip for months now, years honestly, is how long we've been having it, planned out and been wanting to do it, but finally making it happen. We're in our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., capital of the United States. The first stop today is going to be Mount Vernon, George Washington's estate. We're not actually there right now. We're in Alexandria, which is kind of like a neighboring city outside of DC on the Virginia side. And yeah, we're gonna drive by George Washington's church first, and then we will be heading to the estate. So it's gonna be a really cool day. This is Monday. We've got Monday through Saturday planned out, full of stuff. So let's go see what everything's going on. Here's the map of everything. Right over here right now. Coming through here. Go up to the mansion. And he's buried on the property too. So that is pretty cool.
Yes, that's what we're here for.
So we just spent a moment at Washington's tomb himself, and we got to be a part of this hourly service that they do where they place a wreath and everything. So I got to do that. That was very cool. And now we're at the slaves' quarters of their burial ground. There's no one around currently. There's lots of like school groups and things here, so it's kind of busy, but very cool to see. The property is just absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. There are going to be a couple spots that I'm not going to be able to record, just like I wasn't able to really record at Washington's tomb, but we'll do our best and at least try to show some B-roll, even if I can't talk, and give you kind of an experience. Here's some of his gardens. Lots of fields. Like I said, the property is just absolutely beautiful. And here's the Potomac once again. I don't know how I'm gonna do it, but I honestly would say that having like an estate like this is what I desire for more than like having a super nice house. You could have like a nice house, but not anything insane. But with property, I think is a bigger deal for me. I talk about going to Miami and things. But I really can't stand like the party scene. I can't stand that kind of stuff. But I do like the idea of going out on a Saturday night for a restaurant and then you go home. Like that's what I desire. But being able to have a house and property to where this is what you're backing up to. You can walk the ground, have all of these gardens and nice house, but it's gonna be difficult to find that close to being able to be in a populated like area, have easy access to things like that. So we'll see what we can do. Talking about this with my team recently of, you know, designing like a family crest and having like an estate. And that's what I talk about with my family now. I'm like, we're just gonna have like a compound where all of the in-laws and my parents, my wife's parents will all live on the same property and just have a mega estate. Because I think in times like the older times, you know, the wealthier class and things like that, they had these estates. They had like this family grouping and this bond that was developed that was a lot tighter and allowed you to really have like an empire. And that's what I want to do. I'm building, and so this is what I desire. Building an empire, you can have like a home base. To have an empire, you have to have your, you know, your castle. You have to have your estate. So we'll build something like this someday that people will come and walk my house after it gets turned into a historical society. See my library. That's something else I want to do. Well, I don't think we're going to be going to Monticello, where Thomas Jefferson's estate is, but I'm going to build an insane library. I mean, the bedroom that I have now, as you see, my books are stacking up. So we're going to see what we can build in my lifetime, how big of a library we can get. I desire to build like the empire that I talked about, something that outlives me, something that is not just like a temporary, cool, whatever, house or something that you sell and whatever. I want to build something and stay there and maybe have property other places, but we're working towards building something like this, like I said, because that's the empire factor of it. It's a dead class that, you know, a lot of people just don't do anymore. They make their money and maybe spend it selfishly or whatever, but having something that outlives you is the goal for me. That is a turkey, just roaming free. If I called it, it might come over me. So, I mean, Steve Jobs even was able to do that over in California, Palo Alto. So, I'm sure that it's very possible, you know. But that's what we're building too, and that's what we get to look forward to. That was a big guy. Of course, now they stop. It is just an absolutely beautiful blue day. Goodness gracious, that is a small door. That might be 6 feet even. Here we are. The house itself. Gables attached. Like I said, construction's going on. I think this is the kitchen. Yes. Hello. Going to be going inside in just a second. So, like I said, I don't know how much I'll be able to record in there, but kind of relay it and take what I can, maybe mic off, overlay, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, the tours are going to be in just a moment, so we'll see what we can record. And yeah. So we just finished up with the tour of Mount Vernon itself, the house itself. And quite honestly, that's probably one of the best tours and museums that we've gone through ever. And that's coming from a lot of museums and tours and things like that. Being homeschooled and all, we're kind of the experts of that. Done a ton in our local area and things like that, but that one might be towards the top. Just the fact that going in George Washington's house, it's pretty exceptional, especially considering the fact all the different people he was wining and dining with. I mean, the first 3 presidents he was close with, John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, he was close with Marquis de Lafayette, and they were staying at his house constantly. and several other wealthy figures that are not even named at the time, like going in there all the time. It's exceptionally, really, really cool. So one of the best museums, and it's just a really beautiful day for it. Probably going to be walking around, finishing up, doing the last couple things around the grounds before we're heading to Arlington Cemetery later this afternoon. So that's probably going to do it with the footage from Mount Vernon, but it's a beautiful, great day to start the week. And there we are. That's Mount Vernon. Now we are at Arlington National Cemetery, and it is very large in scale. Very, very large. We have Jefferson Barracks Memorial, which is another major military burial site, but nothing of this scale. I don't have my mic with me, and I'm not going to be able to record much, both out of not having the mic, but also just out of respect. So for now, this is what I can leave you. There's the fountain. Beautiful place.
Attention please customers, there are currently no elevator outages within the Metro Rail system.
That's pretty cool. That is really cool.
He's basically going to ask Ned to hold his horse. And Ned's going to be like, are you crazy? I'm the stagehand. I got to move scenery.
In Ford's Theater, this is the booth where Lincoln was assassinated. That cane chair is original and is the chair that Mary Todd Lincoln was sitting in the night when he was killed. So is that couch, I believe, too. Presidential decorations that the owner of the theater set out that night when it was announced he was coming. So, while I don't have a mic on, you can still hear me a little bit. We just got done with the Lincoln Memorial and a couple of the things around the National Mall. Washington Monument, the reflecting pool's got some construction, or actually just the reflecting pool. It's got some construction going on at the moment, but everything else is absolutely beautiful and incredible. It's just, the views are awesome. The spot right here, obviously I'm a big fan of the movie Forrest Gump, so like that's where that was shot, scene at the reflecting pool. A couple other things are going on here. So we're walking past all that, like every single spot here. There's not a single spot that's like, everything has something tied to it. We're walking through this morning, DC, walking through this morning right by Pennsylvania Avenue. We got to see the White House, got some pictures with National Guardsmen standing outside. That was kind of cool. They were like, let's do this. We didn't even have to ask. So we did that. And yeah, I can't help but think all the time I'm gonna spend here in the future. So while I can't film in there tomorrow because I don't have a permit for that yet, this is not gonna be my only trip to DC. And like I said, the way that am going to have involvement in the future, I'll be able to have all of those different things pan out then. So I'm not gonna be able to record, but I'll show what I can and kind of summarize some thoughts about it. With that being said though, today we're gonna be walking to dinner, eating, and probably having more of a relaxed evening because we've done a lot of walking and stuff today, and we need to be prepared, fully rested up for tomorrow because we've got several different kind of exclusive tours to get into. So it's going to be a very, very good day. This is the non-exclusive section of the Capitol building. We're on a tour, so we get to go into the exclusive parts, but we're kind of in a bit of state of limbo at the moment, and yeah.
But as I was saying, this is probably the closest they'll ever come to finding where the any point. So it was very, they had to do things in a but this is amazing. And then there's also one more thing that we'll see when you're
So this is the hallway that the president walks down at the inauguration ceremony. Walks up the staircase and down that door.
this staircase is the Capitol Rotunda. Over here, because you can see it best. You can see General Washington, President Washington, right there, wearing the purple robe on the bottom. He's surrounded by 13 maidens, and the 13 maidens each represent the 13 colonies. And the maiden on his left in blue is Liberty. She's again wearing a red Figurian cap, which is very, very special. The other maiden in the green is named Victory. She is wearing a green dress and has a trumpet horn for representing triumph and victory. And you also have various scenes, all painted with the intention that they would be displayed here. So the four on the side, on the left side of the word on our left, they go in chronological order.
So this is the old statuary hall. Quite a few in here.
It's just amazing.
Right over there to the left of that hallway I'll see if I can get it, is where Speaker of the House gives their briefings and press conferences. So like right now it's Mike Johnson right there. So right here is where Mike Johnson gives his pressers. Right in front of those flags.
Smith's office too, whichever.
Well, we just finished going to both the House Gallery as well as the Senate Gallery, so we got to go to some of the most exclusive parts of the Capitol building. Our Capitol tour is concluded. We're on our way to the Library of Congress now. And I'm actually getting to film more than I thought, so I got some film. It's most incredible. Inside the halls of the Library of Congress. So something that is continuing to happen, something I'm continuing to notice, is that everything, for the most part, is different than what I imagined it. Like, it's very surprising in actuality. When I was in the gallery for both of them, I was like, this is a lot smaller than I thought it was. And even just being in DC, I thought the whole place was going to be different than what it was. I did not realize how much of it, a legitimate cityscape it is. Funny as it is, and that's funny to say because like this is what I do. I only pay attention to business, politics, and history. So for that to be one of my primary interests, and I still don't have a full conception of what it is until you're there, it's really like opened up my idea of, you know, what other things you're thinking of that aren't even in conception. Like the conception is wrong, but the experience has been like nothing else, honestly. It's been probably one of the most incredible couple of days so far. But even with having that, I feel very comfortable here. I do think that I have I'm confident with the things going around, and I could feel myself being here at some point, for sure. Right now, we are going to be going into the Library of Congress. I do not believe filming is allowed in there, but I am very excited to just experience that. We're going to the Jefferson Library. The thing with that library is that was his personal library that he donated after the War of 1812, when the British came in and burned many parts of Capitol Hill and DC. A lot of that was main libraries they were using. So he donated his, I believe it was a large part or all of his personal library to the Library of Congress, which at the time was strictly just used for Congress to be able to have law records on hand and anything else that they might need to access. But he had one of the largest libraries, several thousand books, and that's going to be what I'm going to do at some point. I don't even have to read everything, you just need to have it. So, very exciting, and that's what we're going to do. So, as it turns out, we are actually allowed to film in here. We just have to be mindful of who we're around, not bothering or disturbing anyone. So I'm keeping quiet, and I'm retreated to a little corner. But I am in the Library of Congress. This is the Jefferson building, as I was saying, and it has everything. It really is too bad that I don't live here, because I would spend a lot of time in here working, reading, researching. I just love to spend time in here. And these are some of the things I've been going through. So we've got dozens of papers. Thomas Jefferson, I kind of quickly thumbed through that first book. We've got more down here. I mean, this is all just his writings. It's one shelf. George Washington's life. This is kind of just an American history section. This section of American Wars, Civil War, Union Army. I believe there's a book on the War of 1812 over there. Yeah, I think you can see it. Neighboring nations, some places over in Europe, Australia. Here's African history. So here's more U.S. history, American history, American military history. There's some economic history over on this other side. Religion, racism, different races, multiculturalism. Here is connection over here. This is kind of religious history section over here. So down there, that's psychology. There's the Quran over there. And one of those top shelves has the Book of Mormon, Lives of the Saints, and such. These are more. This Mexico, California. So this is more world geopolitical history, Holocaust, lots of wars. I mean, you could spend eons in here. Yes, here's the Lives of the Saints. Lives of the Saints. Several copies of the Book of Mormon up here. There is the original copy of the Book of Mormon that they have. And they bring it out to you. I'm gonna say this is not it, but yeah, that's here. You can request it, get it out, hold it, but I'm not doing that. I've not chosen that. Dozens and dozens of cool things like that. So, now we are in Thomas Jefferson's library, his personal collection. And several of the mentors in my life, one of the closest ones particularly, he has told me that I remind him a lot of Thomas Jefferson. And one of the reasons is due to the fact that Thomas Jefferson had one of the largest libraries in all of the time. At the time, he had one of the largest personal collections. So here we are. I think this is respectable. I think the way that I picture my future house, I was talking about the other day with Mount Vernon, when I have an estate, when I have a house sizable enough, an entire library will be contained on that premise. I will have a full library. And this is what his looked like. So this is Thomas Jefferson's personal library. He donated this to Congress after the War of 1812 when the British burned the city, if I'm remembering correctly. They burned the city, and basically the Library of Congress was created because Congress wanted to have an actual library that they could reference all the different cases and things like that for law. To just have on reference and have it on Capitol Hill, so people weren't relying on, their own personal collections or something that's not access to the public. So I think the way that it worked is John Adams devoted like $7,000-ish to the federal budget in like 1804, somewhere around there, towards the end of his term, to develop the Library of Congress. And so that existed for like 10 years, and then the Capitol gets burned by the British in the War of 1812. And so to recover from that, Thomas Jefferson said, "Here, have mine." There's the inside. Oh my goodness, look at that! He's the Institutes of the Christian Religion. That is so cool. Oh my goodness. Yeah, this is awesome. Super incredible. Yeah, something like this. I think this is, I'll have to ask the guide over there, but this a couple thousand, I think. And this is probably something that I'll be aiming to. This will probably be the similar size if I can. Maybe even larger, because in his day, these books cost a whole lot more than books do today. There's Pliny. So, since books are cheaper now, I probably can amass something even larger than this, so that's encouraging. There's an encyclopedia collection. This is probably one of my favorite things that I've seen so far. So, I believe that's going to do it for the Library of Congress. There's a lot condensed right here. So that's the Capitol. That's the Supreme Court building over there. That's the Jefferson section of the Library of Congress. And back over there's Washington Monument and National Mall. And the Capitol. Been all throughout it today. So I know the lighting is not great, but we're out on the night walk, the National Mall, to see the Washington Monument. It is huge. Wow. I'm gonna walk up to it and get a straight up in the sky shot. I mean, you really just don't understand how big this thing is. Like, I had no idea. That is just so cool. And really, I hate to say it, but that's literally all I've been able to say, is just continue to say that is amazing, that is incredible. Because these things are things that I've been looking at my entire life, and not just like other people saying, oh, that's cool, but like, this is my world in a way. Fewer places on earth have been as wanted destinations to get to, other than a few places in Europe, Italy, like Rome, for instance. This DC is really it. I mean, it houses so many of the things that like my entire life has revolved around, and my main interests have always been circulated around. So to see all of them in a span of like a week, it's truly like, you know, I don't have descriptive words. I'm normally able to be very articulate, very descriptive with my words and with my vocabulary, but every single thing that I'm seeing is like, this is incredible to see in person. Like, there's just no real way that I can do it justice with mere words. I love it. I love it all. And that's another thing with this trip. A lot of the environment itself is second to none, since this is such a big part of who I am. It's like being in Twitter or on Twitter in real life. Like the environment, you're walking around and you're seeing Capitol Hill, for instance. Down there you can see the Capitol building, and you pan up and you see the Washington Monument in the skyline, and if you look out your hotel window, you can see the Lincoln Memorial. It's just, there's nothing else like it. In a way, this is it for me. I mean, I see myself being based out of Miami and Florida and a couple other places in the next coming years and in my life. But like, I'm probably gonna do a lot of work here too. So it's almost like scoping it out in a way. So it's been one of my favorite trips, one of my favorite places, and one of my favorite weeks ever. Okay, prime example right here. If you see this is a convoy hauling somebody primarily from somewhere on Capitol Hill, probably to their residence. So that is a train of probably like 10 service cars, all with their sirens on. It comes out of nowhere. There's planes flying constantly, as you hear overhead, because everybody, like I said, this is like Twitter in real life. This morning I was sitting in the hotel lobby eating breakfast, and I was seeing on TV that the House was gonna have an oversight committee haul in. Basically, there was a surprise guest, that it was like not an announced hearing, and they had a oversight committee testify somebody at the House floor. And I'm seeing that, normally I see that on Twitter, or I'll see it on the internet wherever that morning. And I'll see it, but that's it. Like I'll hear about it, but then I saw that and I'm like, that's not even 10 minutes from where I'm literally sitting in my seat currently. And so not only that, but I was going to the House building that day. I got to go up into the gallery, into the Senate building, into the Senate gallery, both galleries. And so it's just so cool. You're there. The environment is there. You're seeing the convoy happen. You're seeing the press secretary, or the press briefings that are happening 5 minutes from your house. The other day, Pete Hegseth was given a briefing on the end, basically, of Epic Fury, and there we were 5 minutes from the White House, because that's where our hotel is. It's 5 minutes from the White House, and so he's doing all of these things, and it's right there. And so that's why environment is super, super important, super, super critical. And that's why, obviously, I want to go to Miami to have the basis of that for entrepreneurship. But going down here, it's the same exact thing. You know, it's all happening in real time, where you are literally at, your feet are planted in the place where that's happening. It's like no other place. And so for that, for me, there's nothing else like it, no other place like it. In my humble opinion, I actually think that the nighttime viewing may be better.
was real. Oh no, this is real.
So it's Thursday morning. We are at the Museum of the Bible. They have the Dead Sea Scrolls, which is a big deal. So very excited for that. It's going to be a very good couple of exhibits, and I've been looking forward to this.
But they could only be understood by very few theologians. Because if the strength of Christianity lay in the
Instead, we must ask the mother in the home, the children on the street, the common man in the marketplace. We must be guided by their language.
Walking to dinner in Georgetown. So this is the Thomas Jefferson Memorial. And while it's a little loud in here, because there's so many school groups, it's 8 o'clock at night, by the way. I don't understand this. It's also getting cleaned right now, so it's kind of under construction, which is a real shame because Thomas Jefferson is surely one of my favorite presidents, I would say. Like I said yesterday with the Library of Congress, he's one that I have like a lot in common with, so I've been told. And he was an amazing intellectual, and he wrote the Declaration, so he's pretty significant in my mind. But that was, I think, the last monument we're going to be seeing. Look at this blue sky. Absolutely gorgeous. Gorgeous. And with that being the last monument that we're going to be going to, at least we have planned, we've hit all the big ones. Tomorrow is our last day here. Very sad about that. We have got the Holocaust Museum that we'll be going to, as well as a couple other Smithsonians, and see what else we can fit in with the time that we've got. This, like I said last night, has been one of my favorite trips we've ever taken, and I see myself being here a lot in the future, both for working and just enjoyment, but I think I'll probably be visiting it a lot while I'm working. I love this city. I love this city a whole lot. Can't see it over there, right behind me basically. This is where the Capitol building is, but it's concealed by a couple other buildings. Other than that, you can kind of see the whole skyline for where we're at right now, being the tidal basin. So that's gonna do it for tonight. I'll see you tomorrow for the last day. Metro! This is something I'm gonna miss. I like the Metro. Once again, in the Library of Congress, this time by myself. I had to come back, buy a couple things, get some Library of Congress stuff. I got a bookmark, and I got a mug. Those are both book-related things, so I can enjoy it while I'm in my library. I'm going back in to see Thomas Jefferson's library one more time while I'm here, and through security. Security is crazy around this whole city. So while I'm in here, I want to go see it one more time before we leave. The Library of Congress, I mean all of DC, but especially the Library of Congress, I think is truly one of the greatest things I've ever seen. Jefferson's library is just incredible. And then it's right across from the Capitol. This is what it's like. Second to none. It's the only place in the world for this. Alright, I am headed back to the Metro to go back to the American History Museum, one of the Smithsonian's, to meet back up with my family. Let's go.
Doors up. This is the North Line train
Bye-bye. Okay, we're in the Smithsonian now. We were in here yesterday, but I had to come back for this section. Oh yeah. We only got a couple minutes to go through this, but we'll see what we can find in here. Here we go, the Hall of Giants right here. Carnegie, Edison, Alexander Graham Bell, J.P. Morgan. Who else we got? Charles Ponzi. Here's William McKnight, Alfred P. Sloan, Heinz. Who else do we got? There's the creator of the Barbie. Forrest Mars. I'm gonna say, yeah, it's Mars bar. Sam Walton. Yes, here we go. Oh my goodness, that is so cool. Steve Jobs. Bill Gates and Paul Allen. Warren Buffett. I mean, this is awesome. So while there is nothing particularly educational into this section, it is extremely cool. Sam Walton's hat. Steve Jobs. But we gotta leave. Alright, so we're literally getting kicked out because we're shutting it down. But there's a whole section over there we didn't get to. Tons of cool stuff in this. Like I said, this museum isn't particularly educational. It's just really dang cool. So now we're going to be heading out, obviously, and then probably picking up a spot for dinner.
Enhances God's truthfulness, and so increases his glory. Why am I still condemned as a sinner? Why not say, as some slanderously claim that we say, let us do evil that good may result. Their condemnation is just.
That's Trump. He's got the presidential seal. So Trump just came by in a helicopter, left off of the White House lawn. It's chaos over here, but there it is. This is the north view of it. The last time I'll see it for quite a while, until we come back, hopefully to work. That'd be the duel. All right, dinner time.
Congress authorized the Marine Corps to employ a drum major, a fife major, and 32 fifers and drummers. Today, the Marine Band has more than 150 members who proudly carry out its mission of providing music for the President of the United States and the Commandant of the Marine Corps.
Well, there we go. Had our last dinner out at the Old Ebbitt Grill, which is a very historical location. We did the oldest Marine barracks in the country is in DC, and they had a parade that was very cool. Parade demonstration on the barracks of a couple of different other groups. So we did that. That got out at like 10:30. So we booked some reservations really late at the Old Ebbitt Grill and ate dinner at 11 o'clock. It is 11:57 right now. But it was a great dinner. I really enjoyed it. Really nice ambiance. And now we're walking home for our last night here. Then we'll get up in the morning, get it out of here. It's a very, very busy city, and everything is always happening. A lot of things that I really like about it. Like I said in a little bit earlier in this, I see myself working here with the way things are going to pan out. And I also have been looking forward to this for a very long time. And with the way that I have been wired by God, these things are very exciting for me. And I've just absolutely loved this week. So I can't really say that I can add on to anything, really. I've talked a little bit in between clips sharing, but to be honest with you, it's very busy and it's hard to get clips in between, and there's dozens of places. There's a whole lot more places that I cannot record than I can record, and that I can even have a microphone. So we're having to do without and make do. And so while this doesn't have probably the proper commentary, we'll see how it happens in post, but there's not much commentary I can add other than maybe the historical context that I have and I can add for those who do not have it. I've loved this trip. One last night here. I did not get to use this gym as much as I have hoped to, but I got it in a session last night at least, and it was enjoyable. Tiffany's being super bright and made of all glass. It's been a really nice landmark when we're coming back to the hotel building. Well, I sincerely hope that you enjoyed this vlog, even as half as much as I had while being here. I really appreciate you watching all the way to the end. As I return, I'm going to continue to be hitting things really, really hard because this year is only going to continue to be very important. Future trips to DC are going to probably mark more significant occasions than just mere enjoyment. So follow along now to watch me grow into that and to see the journey all come together. I'll see you next time. Have a good one.